Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So right now, we are going to move to another chapter, for which this afternoon I will be discussing to you about the anthropological view of self. So I'll be sharing you my screen. Okay, so I hope you can see it clearly right now. So I think we're done with our discussion coming from the view of the self from the west and the east. So this time we are going to settle with the next topic, which is the anthropological perspective of the self. So I know not all of you, or I know most of you, no, are familiar already with the definition of what anthropology is all about. No? I mean, the anthropological perspective of the self, it has something to do with the origin of the existence sa atuang pagkatao. No? And how does the anthropological view of self to really help every individual to understand who we are? Okay, so first we have to define first now what is the meaning of anthropology or the anthropological aspect. The origin of self explores the role that selfhood plays defining human society. It considers the genetic and cultural origins of the self. So, tinuod, no, that the existence of the society, the endeavors of the people all throughout the globe or all throughout the world are has something to do also with the genetic to which what kind of genetic traits they are, the kind of origin, kung asa siya gipanganak, no? And even to the group of community where they actually belong, that actually speaks to the culture. We also generate the type of self on our individual journey to and through adulthood. So sa kuha pong journey no from to ang edad no antod antod nga tubo ta. So sorry na wag ting ang ako ang presentation. Sorry kayo po sa nawag tang man. So, importante kayo, no? Nga to yung ma, ma, matungkad na to ang kagikanan. So, from the anthropological perspective. Balik. Okay. Nag-iba na yun. Anyways, I have to find the original. So, I think this is the original one. So, sorry for the inconvenience. I'll be sharing it again to you. So, share screen to class. So now we're going to continue, no? So it's not only on a single journey because nagtubo man ta, no? And the culture that we have, possibly, dili naman yung no, culture that is a refined culture, but also culture for which the journey of our developmental stages sa atong pagtubo is managlahi-lahi, magkaparehas. Like for example, you are going to meet a person right now, and once you reach the age pod nga medium gungguang na po ka, you can also encounter, no, that becomes the process on how the human being actually socialize and interrelate with other people. So here, according to Charles Martin Edwards, former chairman of Manchester United, argues that other awareness is relatively early evolutionary development present throughout the primate clade that perhaps beyond. Knowing that primate clade something from the world that actually or the origin to which the human being had started. Now, the self of whom we are aware is not something innate now with us. It is a model of our self-produced as a response to the models offered to us by the other people. So other than that, also, it's not the totality of the self cannot be determined only coming from your own characteristic, but also to the influence part of our socializing or the process of socialization. Now, In anthropology, the self came to be understood as a process that orchestrates an individual's personal experience, following which he or she becomes self-aware and self-reflective about his or her place in society. So, atong nagtawa, no? Ang kind of society that we have, the group of people that surrounds us also can influence the kind of person with who we are. Okay? So let's define anthropology, study of human societies, cultures, and their development. So human societies, no, sa ato ang mga kinabibilangan ng mga society, the kind of culture that that particular society where we belong actually practiced. And also, in other definition, it is concerned with how culture and biological processes interact to shape human experience. So this is also a very nindot kay nga definition, no? Because it talk about cultural and biological processes. So, cultural, ano, with group of people, specific na mga trademarks on what are the practices that they exercise, the way, the customs, the way they dress up, their beliefs, ano siya, no? And also to the biological foundations or the origin from where we actually came from, kung ginikan, ano, the inheritance. Okay? Now, self as embedded in culture. So, how the culture can actually shape the selfhood of every individual. Self-concept refers to all understanding and knowledge of oneself. So, no, ang ato ang knowledge sa atong tagsa-tagsa kaugalingon that is speaking to self-concept. Now, the self-concept has its four components. We have psychological, physical, social attribute, and ideas of beliefs. When we say psychological, of course, is something relating to mental and emotional state of a person, and even all mental processes, the emotions, and the feelings, uh, and other cognitive functions are including to this what we call psychological. The experience that we have also matters. Physical, it's relating to the characteristic, the type of body that we have, as it is opposed to the mind. Now, of course, no, lahi man po ng psychological because that actually speaks to the mental states or the mind. Ang body po na to, of course, the people can actually define who we are by means of looking the physical picture sa tuang physical characteristics like black, the hair is color yellow or white or black, the hair is curly, the hair is straight, ano, no? And social attitude like cooperative virtues. So, kanino ato ang social attitude, the way we relate with other people, what are the trademarks, what are those peculiar characteristics that we have na mailan dayon sa tao, like pugihan ta, matinabangon, matinahuron, no? And the ideas of beliefs of creativity, loyalty, and freedom. So what do we believe? No, like for example, um, you're going to ask me personally, do you believe that there's the presence of God? Yes, and that's who I am. I am not an atheist, no? But I believe that there is the existence of this most sovereign one that creates everything. I also believe that there is love because that's how the shall we say that's the kind of things that can also be experienced with the other people and in building good relations also towards other people that becomes the product of everything. No? Other than that, I believe that there will be peace because for me that is coming from the state of coming from my mental state that I don't like war and I would like peace, no? So maybe pwede mo naman natin buhaton sa kung kagalingon nga dili ko makig-away po, no? So that's part of it, no? Next, the family history, of course, is also no, something very important. The most influence in terms of self-concept. Sometimes the people would actually judge every individual, judge a person coming from his family history. No? Kaliwat mo mga pakion, kaliwat mo mga tuyahon, ano? Kaliwat o mga barumbado, sometimes like this and like that. Huh? And even to the physical aspect, the physical picture of yourself. Your family is not tall, so of course, as expected, dili po kataas, no? because you're coming from that genetic lines, no? That kind of belong. Culture, set of unwritten norms of conduct that guide the behavior of a group. So unwritten norms, it's called as unwritten norms because automatically those are the practices, no? Nahimo na siyang practices, no need na isuwat pa na siya. But that can be observed coming from how the people actually act in that specific circle. Edward Taylor defined the culture that is a complex pool which includes knowledge, arts, morals, laws, customs, and any other capabilities and habits required by man. So that's according to Edward Taylor. Tinuod na po, no? Because ano yung tag complex case yeah because kanino ang knowledge is very important. In terms of art, I believe that every countries in the world, no? Every hemispheres in the world has its own way of expressing arts, morals, no? The kind of belief that we have, and even the divisions of the religion has something to do in influencing the moral view of every individual across the globe. The laws, of course, we are not uniform or we are not unified with the other nations. No, if the other countries would prefer to love communism, embrace the kind of government, communist government, because they believe that there will be equal opportunities of people in that kind of government, and so they exercise that one sa ilang country. Kita, we believe that democracy is very important, so we embrace the democratic type of government. The laws coming from those communist countries are different from the kind of laws that we have. But though having that kind of understanding na nasa siguro tayo mga magkaparehas po, majority. But nevertheless, of course, there is a differences when it comes to interpretations and when it comes to giving sanctions to the different weights of mga kalapasan. Okay? Now, material and then material culture, the combination of the human being in the anthropological view. Material culture, physical objects, resources, and spaces that people use to define their culture includes home, neighborhood, cities, schools, churches, and so forth. So that is something that are observable, something that can be observed by the senses. Non-material culture, also the non-physical ideas that people have about their culture, including beliefs, values, rules, norms, morals, language, organizations, institutions. So these are not material. This can never be directly seen by any individual. But of course, these are the factors, the beliefs. Of course, not unless you're not going to ask the person, you will never know what are the kind of beliefs that we have. Uh, in terms to values also, if you're not going to give some time to observe people, of course, you will never know what are their values and even the rules that applies in their community, the norms, their moral views, the language that they use. So not unless you're not going to explore something and to give some time, of course, that can never be directly noticed. Okay, unlike the material culture. Now, example, non-material culture concept of religion consists of set of ideas and beliefs about God, worship, morals, and ethics. Of course, no? Okay, not more kita kung gingo, no? Not unless, okay, so I'll be sharing again, no? My screen. So not unless you're not going to, shall we say, paano, dili mo pangutanon lang ko sa kayo, dili mo ganun, this can never be directly observed by anyone. No, ginato ma-observe dayon automatically. But of course, okay, so mo na siya, no? I hope ito ang nakuha, no? So, next we have this what we call material. Example na po ta sa so katong mga material mo to yung mga dali kay ma-observe. Kaning non-material is something that cannot be directly observed. Na di nato ma-observe directly. Two anthropological perspective of the self, we have egocentric, sociocentric. self-centered concept of the self, where the self is seen as an autonomous and distinct individual. The distinct individual, of course, we are a separate individual. Naming itag self-centered is coming or focusing on the self. Okay? It's autonomous that every individual has your own self-concept. What is your understanding about yourself? Naming itag sociocentric, centered on one's own social group. So, you will be determined uh, in such mean that no, asa kadapitang nga grupo na bilong, so that's the time that you can be, it's no longer intrinsic, but this is something extrinsic, okay? Uh, External factor. There's no intrinsic self that can possess enduring qualities. Uh, Wala siya, no? It's true because I want to believe it. Example dira. So, unsa man siya nahimo siyang significant metag sociocentric, of course naghatag siya basis sa external factor, sa external aspect on determining the person's origin. Like example, mingon tag argawanon ka, so of course you will easily be determined nga tiga-argaw ka coming from sa imong sinultihan, pananglit, nga no, there are mga mga remarkable kayo nga pan. Other than that, if pangutan-on ka, sa kadapita nga lugar, so may balaan yun, no? Next, three phase of passage by Arnold van Gennep. So separation phase, liminality phase, incorporation phase. So what are the significance of this phase? So of course, ang it has something to do with the development that we are, and of course, having those pagtubo, no, kanang experience na to nga magtubo ta, di ta it's very possible that we will be staying on a single place, no, balhin man kita, so na siya nakapil ni siya, no. Separation phase, leaving the familiar, people detached from the former identity to another. So like me, I am from the city, and because I am working here in Argao, so I separated from my origin, from the place where I actually born and grow up. So I leave my place, no? Liminality phase, personal people, a person transitions from one identity to another. Okay, so like for example, pareha na ko karon, no? I started to live, pag-start pa lang ako live, that is separation phase, no? When we tag liminality phase, there are certain tawag na to og very distinct kayo nga mga characters nimo, or like distinct kayo nga personality nimo nga imong gi-change. No, like for example, parehan ako the way I talk, medyo na usab-usab na pud og jutay, no? Because of the kind of culture nga ako ang gi-adapt, no, diri sa South, no, nagsugod na pud ko og adapt sa mga tao, the way they talk, the way they speak, because normally, of course, I have to adapt because ako may anhi diri, no? So they call that one liminality phase. So there are transitions, no? That right after that one, of course, right after dito ko sa syudad, I have to adapt some changes to assume another identity, no? Pero siguro dili pa ni siya kung ano, dili pa siya ingon nga totally gyud na change na ka. Kay nam siya transitions. Pag-aritas incorporation phase, registration phase, the change in one status is officially incorporated. Ingrid tag officially incorporated, the change na gyud ka. Siguro if I am going to prefer staying here sa South for a longer period of time until the day that I die, of course, that will be categorized in incorporation phase. Meaning to say, the totality of who you are, no, will be siguro nalatang mention of totality good. Mingulan ta og mga 80% siguro of who you are will be changed. The way you talk, the way you communicate, your behavior, the kind of belief that you have, the kind of culture that you perform or you practice from the former place where you belong is imong usap. Okay? Next is Anthony Wallace and Raymond Pogilson coined the term identity struggles. So natin ito identity crisis, no? So naamsa niya sa psychology to characterize interaction in which there is discrepancy between the identity a person claims to possess and identity attributed to that person by other. confusion in person's life. Sometimes the person can actually encounter this what we call identity crisis in such way that they cannot be able to outcast, no? They cannot be able to express who they are and what are their purpose. So inanana usay magka-identity crisis ta kay di ta ka kung ano unsa kita o unsa atong rule. So this is very important also. Self-identification individuals have to overcome many obstacles. So in order to avoid identity crisis, it's very important that you have to know yourself better. Through self-identification, you will be able to overcome all of those challenges that you may encounter in your life. No? Dili kay because you do not know yourself better, you did not know yourself so well, mo na no nga maka-identity crisis ka because you will not be able to figure out how to play your role, no? How to be uh, kanang paano imuhang yung i-project kung unsa o kinsa jud ka, no? Maglisod ka, no? That's the reason why there are people also that are mahug na to no nga kana sa social media, no? They are always longing for that approval of the people. Post sila sa Facebook, tawagon sila gwapa, malipay sila kung nasa iba kong sinina. Kung nasa iba kong sinina, mabalaka sila kay nga naman. Dili naman mang-like ang mga tao, di man more hard. Now, those are those people who have this what we call identity crisis because if only they know themselves better, no need to ask approval from the people. Next, Catherine Ewing formulated the illusion of fullness. Illusion of allness implies that the cohesiveness and continuity of self are only illusion. No, nindot po kayo ng illusion of fullness. No? Sometimes there are people who are afraid to separate from their origin because according to them, no, like for example, parehaaning dili gusto malayo sa pamilya. No? Dili sila gusto malayo sa pamilya because for them, there's no place like home. So, according to Catherine Ewing, that is an illusion of fullness. You know what? Everything is just an illusion. Thus, you have to allow yourself to go. You have to allow yourself to explore and to quest for life. Do not just stay on, be comfortable only at your comfort zone. Do something for you to grow. Cultural differences exist when groups of people assign different meanings to different life events and things. So, no, nang tayo cultural differences because naman tayo mga different group of people and having those different groups as expected, they also have their own unique way of living, unique way of exercising culture. Okay, different meanings of different events. So key terms, social identities, people construct their self-identity from the similarities and differences in characteristics among individual. No, napayusahan no na uh, ang self-identity sa usa ka tawo can be determined by the people, no? Can be determined by the kind of place where you live in and the kind of place where you belong. Okay? And naman ko similarities and differences also. Like for me, dili dali ra kay ko mailan nga dito taga South because of the way I talk, kahit ang word and kana no, I will not be surprised about that one because the people here know already nakapamilya na sila sa inyong culture diri sa inyong mga tinabian no? Example, you have categorized yourself as a student. The chances are you will adopt the identity of a student and begin to act in the ways you believe students act. So, yung anak ko, no? Like, for example, kung mga taog laing country, like, butantag, mga taog Jakarta, tag Kuwait, of course, we have to adopt the social identities, no? The kind of culture that they have there so that we will be accepted, no? So that we will not be we will never be into the harm situation na basig maunsa ta, no? So mapugos ta. Family membership, the most significant feature to determine a person's social identity. So family membership no mao na no usa na no na makadetermine sa atong social identity. So like example, pareha atong apelyido na to no. language views is essential for the maintenance of group identity also. No, kay importante kining language because if, like for example, kita, if pagtuon ta og India, di ta kabaho sa ilang tinabian, so dali ra kay ta mahibalan no di gid ta we do not actually belong to those kind of group because of their identity. Naman sila uniformity when it comes to language. No? Parehas na tinabihan kita di kita labot. Okay? Now, religious affiliation also is an important marker for group identity in a given identity. Importante po kaayo no ang ato ang religious affiliation, mga binunyaga na to, religious affiliation asa tadapitan na bilong kay makita mo po diya ang panon sa mga tao and the way they behave. Like the Muslim, every day they pray 5 times a day, no? So kana that's also their trademark sa ilang pagtuo. And for the other religions also, there are religions that are required, no, highly required also to go to community and preach, no, the good news of the Lord. So ilang i-preach, no. So na po mga kurso, na po mga uh, religion nga ingon ana, no. Na po yung mga religion nga dili ra pud kayo pud higpit, wala ra pud na siya gi-require og taman. Name is an important device to individualize a person and legitimize him or her as a member of a social group. Now, no, naamog ka ng appeal na siya sa atong katungod, no, nga katungod karapatan na magkaroon ng sariling pangalan. So, that is one way that to legitimize the existence of a person. Okay? So, I believe that's how my presentation ended, my discussion. I hope you have learned something. And if you have a question, you can freely address that one to our GC. At all times, I am here to guide you uh, and to facilitate you with your learning progress. Thank you so much, everyone, and happy weekend.